Okay. So user survey. So in this assignment, you'll create user survey, analyze the results, and present your findings in an effort to perform to improve that product or that service. The topic for your survey will be any product or service offered at Mohawk, coffee services, food services, IT support, etc. So this is interesting because I think I know how a lot of people feel about Mohawk services. You'll also choose the platform you want to use to create and analyze the survey. Your job is to collect participants' views, challenges, motivations, and opinions. You'll then present your findings using a presentation software of your choice. So just kind of like we did for the previous assignment. So choose a product or a service that is offered at Mohawk. Again, here's a few suggestions. Choose a survey platform. So anything you want, jot forms, anything you feel most comfortable in. Create a minimum of 10 questions that will aid in improving the product or service. Share the survey via the email, social, text, any way you want to. If you do an online form, you can essentially launch people to that link, etc. So pretty easy. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Collect the data and analyze. So find your patterns, your similar responses, your general consensus, and any other notable data from the surveys. And then we're going to summarize the process and findings in a way you choose, graphs and such, and then present the process in a 5-minute presentation. Again, we're not going to actually present unless people would like to. Your submission. So you've got your PDF. Actually, you know what? I think I might want this one presented. So I'm going to confirm that back with you folks. But how do we feel about that? Does anybody have an opinion on that?
I would much prefer to not present if possible.
Who's saying that? I can't say.
Maggie.
Maggie, okay. Do you think if there's anybody that you might be in a team with that might?
I don't know. I hope
Anybody
not.
else have a voice around that? No. Okay.
Kristen, sorry, not
Yeah.
a question about presenting, but a question about doing the survey.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically reaching out to each other?
Essentially with it being Mohawk, yes. But saying that, Mohawk isn't just for you folks. So, maybe because parents also go to the Mohawk website, if it's about a website, if it's for the support, things like that, in regards to anything that might be on the campus, food services or coffee services, then of course, yes, it would be people that your classmates. So yes, good question.
Do you have example for this assignment?
Sana, yes, I believe I have probably some presentations from last year I could post up for sure.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Should always just remember to automatically do that for you folks. Not a big fan of presenting. Agreed, not a fan of presenting. Okay, me too. So saying that, team, I know we maybe don't love presenting, but that is something that you will have to do eventually. So I'm going to let it slide for week 4, but I'm going to just tell you before we get to week 14, there will be presentations. Okay. So, because you do need to get used to, and as much as I don't want to put you in a discomfort or a zone that you're not, not comfortable in, it sadly is still something that you need to do. It's nice to talk through your ideas, talk through, so you're not just reading what's on paper, being able to really discuss your ideas and discuss why you're smart and why you're the professional at these things. So that does come with practice. So I will ditch it for this one, but next time we will be doing it. Okay. Then you're
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah, Margarita, go for it.
Sorry.
No.
How many people do we have to survey?
Believe it's, is that nice? I was going to say 10 people, but that's not it. That's a good question. Are we okay going? I'd like to maybe do.
On the bottom, it says like 10 plus questions under marking?
Yeah, it's questions, but
How many?
Margarita's questioning how many people to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to circle back and see if that was sorted last semester. It's going to be again at least 5. I would like more, to be honest, because I think once you get your questions nailed down, and then those surveys are really quick for people to do. And I would just probably say 10 plus, but I will get back to you on that as well. So good question. Thank you for noticing that, Margarita. So anyway, you want to use your surveys or create your surveys, totally open. Make sure the questions you choose and the data you present are relevant to pointing out the success and failures. So not too generic. I know I said keep the questions generic, but you also want to make sure that you're doing this for a reason. So the term that I think is not overused, used often, is always doing things with intention. So if you ask that question, is that even relevant to making the coffee shop better? So making sure that you really think about those questions instead of just whipping them up. And then share the survey any way you want. Also Discord for your pals online. So for your markings, so the basic demographic information has been collected about the participant. The objective for the survey is clear. All 10 questions are relevant and focused, and the analysis from the data is collected in the surveys are present and complete. Obviously, someone only does 5 out of 10 questions. Make sure you circle back. Could you just finish those for me? And then your presentation quality. We're working on making things look really nice, really professional, and slick.
Christian.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Woo! No problem. Was that Nurjo?
Yes. Can you extend the due date? I think it's October 5.
On this sucker. You're right, October 5th. Not enough time. Yes, I will.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Margarita, did you have another question for me?
Yeah, sort of. The demographic information, like the Amazon thing we just did for you, could we combine them sort of like you did? Select what's relevant for you, age, that kind of thing.
Yeah, great question. Yes, you could do it that way. But if so, I wouldn't include that as one of your questions. So if you do have one of those in your form, instead of manually putting it in, that's fine. But yes, 100%. Then if you have 3 questions based on demographic, I still want another 10 questions based on what your survey is. Great question.
Christian, I have a quick question.
Please go for it.
Number 1, choose a product or service offered at Mohawk. I don't understand it. What kind of product?
So it's really anything. So it could be, I think one of the examples here, like how do you find the food services are at Mohawk? So this isn't just technically web related. It could be literally anything that's offered at Mohawk. The, what it's like to get a 1 pass, wherever you go to get that, what's the admin like at Mohawk. So you can really literally think of any service that Mohawk offers and base your survey and your questions on that. Oh, and then as a side note, yes, you can work in groups again. So I know we had some almost stragglers last time, lack of better term, stragglers. I don't want to exceed 4 per group because I think this one we could probably accomplish a little bit easier potentially. So making sure if you do go into a group, if you were happy with your previous group, if you want to go lottery like we did last time and have me pre-select the groups, just shoot me an email either right now or before the end of the day, noting that you want to be placed in the group. I'm going to give you guys a bit more time. I probably won't send the groups out right away because there's not everyone's in the class today. So I want to make sure that everyone's aware because that's kind of how we got the stragglers and they just got plunked in other groups. So. Any other questions?
Are we still able to like potentially work alone if we wanted to?
Oh, of course. Yes. Yeah, Marina, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. You do not have to work with a group. It's just totally open to if you want, but lots of people prefer to just kind of take the reins and do this. I know it's tough because you guys aren't, I think it's easier if you're in person. It's tough to, you know, discover who you work with best. So yeah, absolutely. Good questions today, guys. I feel like you're alert and you're awake.
I have a question.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, if we're like gonna do one part of the website like my canvas, would we have to narrow like our survey down more? Could it just be like in general the my canvas section?
I'd narrow it down because it could be too big and too broad, pardon me, and you probably
Okay.
won't be able to get the right results to really make it effective.
Okay.
Good question. Is that it? Anybody else? Okay. Well, folks, that's it. That's all then.